Welcome to Bird for Joy, a show about discovering all the different ways that bird watching can bring joy into our lives. I'm Candilynn Fite, your gracious host and fledgling birder. Here at Bird for Joy, we focus on listening and watching the birds around us, being curious and learning what the birds have to teach us about joy, life, and ourselves. So grab your favorite beverage, settle on your perch, and let's get into today's episode. So now that we're several episodes into the Bird for Joy podcast, and y'all listeners probably have a pretty good idea, or at least I hope you do, of my philosophy on birding, the many benefits of birding for joy, and my personality, I thought it would be a good idea to roll out a new series of episodes specifically geared towards the newbie birder. If you listen to my pre-launch episodes, you know that I consider myself a newbie birder, so please don't feel like I'm bird preaching, or what I like to call bird-splaining. Think of this series more like we're just a group of bird enthusiasts learning the birds together. I have discovered many awesome bird-related podcasts out there, but only a couple of them are geared towards the beginning birder. My goal is to select some of what I consider the more common birds and then go into detail about them, bird by bird. This way, we really get to know each species. When I see a particular bird, there are two main things that arise for me: observation and curiosity. I love observing them, their habitats and their behaviors, but then I am driven to discover more about the species, sending me down a deep dive into all about that bird, which is why I'm calling the series All About That Bird. One side note though, so not to alienate other listeners, say perhaps the more experienced birder, only a portion of the episodes will be designated to this purpose. And those who prefer can skip past this section. There's no hard feelings here. Today, I'd like to begin with all about that Northern Cardinal. The Northern Cardinal, some call a redbird, is a well-known and personal favorite of many people. It also happens to be the state bird of 7 states. It's perhaps the most easily identified species, mostly due to the show-stopping brilliant red of the male Northern Cardinal. The female Northern Cardinal may not drop jaws, but in my opinion, she is equally as beautiful with her subdued brown hues tinged with red and sometimes an olive green. Both male and females have crests on their heads that remind me of a feathered mohawk, cone-shaped orange beaks, and they are equally beautiful, sweet singers. According to the American Bird Conservancy's website, the Northern Cardinal can be admired from southeastern Canada, south through the eastern and central United States. It also occurs in Arizona, New Mexico, as well as in most of Mexico and northern Belize and Guatemala. The Northern Cardinal's range continues to expand in many areas due to climate change and sprawling suburbs with bird feeders where the birds thrive. The Northern Cardinal does not migrate, so its beautiful songs and bright color can be enjoyed year-round. 18 Northern Cardinal subspecies are recognized, further divided into 2 groups based on color, crest size, and bill shape. And then other distinctions occur with regard to song dialects and flocking behavior during the winter time. Here, in my area of central Texas, Northern Cardinals did not frequent my property until we cleared an area of dense forest for our house and then began gardening and putting out bird feeders. I believe that our now diverse landscape and the feeders have a lot to do with the arrival on our land. Both male and female Northern Cardinals are aggressive defenders and devoted mates. However, the males take that macho behavior a few wing beats farther and are known to attack their own reflections in windows, car mirrors, and other reflective surfaces. Their habitats vary from woodland edges, thickets, busy semi-open areas, urban gardens, and city parks. And generally, they nest well hidden in taller, dense bushes, 3 to 12 foot off the ground. The nests are open-cupped, consisting of twigs, leaves, grass, rootlets, and leaves, and constructed mostly by the female, who then lays 2 to 5 eggs and incubates them for 12 to 13 days. Once the babies fledge, both parents help take care of teaching the young. They're great parents, and I often witness entire families flocking together at the feeders in my backyard. The fledglings are quite obvious with their unruly, color-splotched feathers, spiky, misshaped crests, and plucky personalities. The Northern Cardinal feeds on mostly seeds, berries, and insects, and they seem to have an insatiable appetite for sunflower seeds. Often, they give me stony stares if my feeders are low. They are also the first ones to my feeders in the mornings and the last ones to leave in the evenings. Here are 5 fun facts all about that Northern Cardinal. According to Birds and Bloom staff writer Ken Keffer, the brightness of the male cardinal's plumage is related to his diet. The vivid red color comes from pigments, which are found in red fruits. Eating more of these scarlet-hued berries, especially during molting, helps a male form brighter red feathers. Studies show that the showier the males tend to hold better territories, provide extra parental care, and show higher nesting success. Number 2, Ken Keffer also reports that the source of the cardinal's name dates back to the 16 and 1700s, and it is a well-known reference to the red garments worn by the cardinals of the Catholic clergy. Number 3, a flock of cardinals can be called a college, a conclave, radiance, or a Vatican. Number 4, in the 1800s, Northern Cardinals were popular as cage birds for their brilliant plumage and sweet, melodious songs. Thankfully, now that they are protected by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. And number 5, some people consider the Northern Cardinal as a sign of their late loved ones coming to pay them a visit. All I can say is that that's true, my property is a spirit playground. I hope you enjoyed hearing and learning all about that Northern Cardinal. For the next part of the episode, I want to talk about a new book that I'm reading. Actually, I just cracked it open. It's the hardcover version of Better Living Through Birding, Notes from a Black Man in the Natural World by Christian Cooper. If you don't know who Mr. Cooper is, let me read you his bio from the book Jacket Flap. Christian Cooper is a science and comics writer and editor, and the host and consulting producer of Extraordinary Birder on National Geographic. One of Marvel's first openly gay writers and editors, Cooper introduced the first gay male character in the Star Trek Starfleet Academy series, which was nominated for the GLAAD Media Award. He also introduced the first openly lesbian character from Marvel and created and authored Queer Nation, the online gay comic. Based in New York City, he is on the board of directors for NYC Audubon. I know that this book will not only enlighten me, but will also move me, and I have a feeling that Mr. Cooper's story and storytelling is going to change me for the better, and I simply cannot wait. I'd like to finish up this episode with the Chauncey report. If you've listened to my pre-launch episode about my nemesis bird, the white-eyed vireo, which, no, sadly, I still haven't spotted yet, I did tell you about a surprise spotting at the end of that episode. It was a young barred owl that I ran across while looking for the white-eyed vireo. I've also posted a few things about him on my Instagram, which is at Bird for Joy. And if you haven't heard anything about Chauncey, let me catch you up. I've had the most unique experience of observing a young, what I believe to be male barred owlet. When I first spotted him 12 weeks ago, he had these fluffy feathers on top of his head. He didn't fly much, but he did clamber up and down his tree and screeched a lot. Once, and only once, I noticed another young owl feeding him, but other than that, he's alone, and I've never seen a parent. I walked to his area every evening and kept what I felt was an appropriate distance between us, and just sat and observed him through my binoculars. He occasionally would look in my direction, But for the most part, he went on about his owlish behavior, surveying his surroundings, screeching, then dropping to the ground and scrambling back up his tree trunk with either a lizard, frog, or sometimes a large buzzing cicada in his beak. He'd gobble his grub and then go back scouting for more. Most evenings, I'd hang out for about 15-20 minutes and then head on home. There's approximately 15 acres between my house and his area. 3 weeks into my observations, I took my dog out for one last break before bed, and to my surprise, Chauncey was in the tree outside my house, screeching. He had the perfect view inside my living room window where I sit and do my nightly reading. I was thrilled, not because he showed up at my house, but because he was now flying. I felt better about him being on his own. Now, if he'd only hoot, then I could feel confident about him being all by himself. But after reading Jennifer Ackerman's book, What an Owl Knows, I learned that the owl's call is instinctive rather than a learned skill from its parents. But Chauncey's nightly visits went on for about 10 days, and I began fretting over the idea that maybe my evening walks to observe him were interfering too much. I started skipping days in between my visits, and then I noticed that his visits either stopped or he wasn't vocal about showing up at my house. It was 2 weeks ago that my human guilt really kicked in. I certainly didn't want to be responsible for this little owl not turning into the wild, magnificent creature that he was born to be. Owls are secretive for a reason. Humans and owls don't befriend one another for very good reasons. Of course, my relationship with Chauncey was a long way from what anyone would consider a friendship, and I may be reading more into the situation than what's really there, but still, it didn't feel natural. So I backed off on my owl outings, and he stopped his owl visits. At least I believe he has. It's been 7 days now since I've seen Chauncey. There is a part of me that misses the unique interaction I had with him, but there is a larger part of me that realizes that my presence in his world was not good for him. And for his well-being in the natural world, he is so better off not interacting with humans. I will forever be grateful and honored that I was able to have such a unique experience, observing such a fascinating creature for as long as I did. I consider myself extremely lucky, and the memory of Chauncey will remain with me forever. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. If you are enjoying the show, I would love it if you would follow or subscribe, rate, review, and then let others know about the podcast so we can continue to build a community of like-minded birders. A big shout out to composer Jonathan Boyle for his cheerful show music called Plucking Happy. The spoken lyrics were written and read by me, and the full version with lyrics will follow this episode. Until next time, stay chirpy, my friends. And get outside, feel the sun upon your face and the wind in your hair, and bird for joy's sake. Bird for joy's sake, when you're needing more, a new beginning, feeling lost, alone, or blue, go into nature. Stroll to the melodious tunes of birdsong. Let it refresh your soul, fill your heart, lift your spirits. Yes, bird, for joy's sake. Witness the winged wonders, flitting, fluttering, playing hide and tweet. Is there anything else so sweet? I think not. We'll save for the chitter-chatter of my own nestlings as they filled my early days. But sigh no more, for they have long left the nest, and I now strive to find myself once again, discovering new things that I do best. Bird, for joy's sake. For our feathered friends have much joy to share, and it doesn't cost a dime, only time. And I don't know about you, but I am willing to give, to have a chance to live out my days, filled with curiosity, hope, and wonder, learning patience, the art of slowing down and being fully present, living in the moment, something I have long strived to achieve. Bird, for joy's sake. And keep looking up. Let their constant cheer infect you. Their tenacity provides you with lessons of never giving up. and looking on the brighter side of life. Prepare for entertainment with their quirky, chirpy silliness. Oh my, so much cuteness, happiness, and whimsy. You can't help but smile. And suddenly you'll discover worries cease, frustrations fade, chaos calms, and troubles melt away like snow in the spring. You will find yourself looking up and forward into the horizon, surrounded by song, hope, and happiness perched in your heart, feeling renewed and fulfilled. Go out into nature, take a stroll, let the avifauna rejuvenate your soul, and bird for joy's sake.